Hey y'all, it's Chris, your creative career coach here. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Greenlight Ecosystem Podcast. Today I want to talk a little bit about the vision behind the Greenlight Ecosystem and what I hope to accomplish with this podcast. What is this all about? So I'm hoping to make this space a place where me personally, where I can be open and honest about my trajectory, my journey as a filmmaker, as a creative person making a career in the creative arts, and to list out the wins and losses as they happen, more or less in real time, every day as a kind of a director's diary, just to give an honest inside look into what the actual lifestyle of a career filmmaker looks like. I am somebody who went to film school. I studied film production, film studies and production at Hofstra University on Long Island in New York. I left school in 2006 to take a full-time job, and never really looked back. So since then, it's been a real mixed bag of experiences, and it's taken me this long, almost 20 years, to get to the point where I'm at in this stage in my life and career, and in the industry, the state of the industry as it is today, to have a much clearer understanding of what that life actually looks like. It's very different from what I imagined when I was in film school. But it's better in some ways because it's much more dynamic. It feels much more grounded and real. And that's what I really enjoy about it. For more than anything, this is the people that I've met and continued to work with and be close to in this journey. And it's been fantastic, along with a lot of the bumps and bruises that you gain from being a freelancer, from being an artist, if you want to call yourself that, which I do. So it's just a chance for me to kind of give people an unfiltered look at what this is as a career, and then how to really leverage the four pillars that come along with the Greenlight ecosystem to make it sustainable. And that's going to look different for everybody, but I think the four pillars give at least a foundation, something to constantly be referencing, to bounce your actual experience off of, in order to give some clarity and structure. And that's the thing that has helped me the most, is the moments where I've had real structure, things to focus on from day to day that allow me to take the energy that I have at any given moment and dedicate it to one aspect of my career that I have the bandwidth to cover, and to give myself just a basis for survival, because it really does take a lot of time, energy, and focus to be able to survive in a creative career, as a lot of folks know. So that's what this podcast is really about, is just kind of giving people just a real unfiltered look at what it means to be a director. I happen to be in Italy right now. I have a 9-year-old daughter who lives here, and she's growing up here, and it's been an awesome opportunity to learn about Europe. Work here, life here is so different from life in the States, in Atlanta, where I'm also based, and it's given me a great deal of perspective. And that's also something we're trying to bring to this, is for people to have an understanding of what it means to live outside of your comfort zone, to try new things, to extend yourself beyond what you imagined in the beginning of your journey. And that's been an incredibly gratifying experience for me. So I just want to share what that's like too. Whether it's traveling around the north of Italy, which is where I'm living out of here, meeting people who are also artists here, and what the difference is between their lives here and the lives of my artist friends in the States, what work is like here versus in the States, and yeah, just providing as much of that perspective as I can. So, speaking about the wins and the losses, as a lot of folks will know, working in film, television, it can be feast or famine a lot of the time. So it's about navigating the emotional whiplash of the industry as well, because those moments where you're riding high, where jobs are lined up and you're almost stretched too thin, it can feel overwhelming, but it also feels like, in those moments, like it's never going to end. And it can feel like, man, I just wish I had a break. And then, of course, when the famine beats hit and you go from that peak to that valley, it feels like, wow, will I ever work again? And desperation can set in. And when you get into that survival mode, all of a sudden it's tough to be creative. Because you can't really think when you're hungry, essentially, right? So it's navigating those peaks and valleys that I'm hoping to elucidate for folks, including myself, and give people a little bit of a sense of, yeah, just clarity for how to handle those times, so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming, so it doesn't feel like the end of the world or the top of the world when when it's really the best motivation to stabilize as much as you can, and just have a little bit of perspective about how everybody else is doing and navigating those same situations. Um, so, when it comes to navigating something like rejection, what is it like to be in a competitive field where you're pitching against maybe, three other people, two other people, a dozen other people, 2 dozen other people? That's what it's like out there right now because of how the different models for example, making commercial or branded content work. You could be competing against just a couple other people's, other couple other creators, directors, production companies, if you're getting a brief directly from an agency, or you could be competing against 30 other people in production companies if it's a project on kind of a crowdsourcing content creator platform, where it's open to the public essentially. So, how do you work through moments where you're getting rejected, where it feels like they're looking, the client is looking specifically at you as a creator, and maybe that goes to somebody else, or where it's you and a big pool of other creators, and it's hard to tell if your work is even being seen. How to navigate what it feels like to have some of those moments is a really important thing that I've gone through, that I'm still going through, and it can be challenging. So I want to be able to just give people a little bit of the ground view from what it's like and has been like for me. And I'll break down what some of those projects have been like. So a little bit of a project debrief when I miss out on a job or an opportunity, or if I win one. How did I adapt if a pitch deck of mine wasn't selected? If somebody got a job that maybe had a little bit of a more advanced reel than mine, how do I go about trying to adapt what I can offer to be as competitive as possible with folks who are bidding for the same types of jobs that I'm bidding for? What is it like to try to find new skills that allow you to be more competitive in the field that you're in? And, I think one of the elements that's important to me is community building, because it's, again, that perspective of having an understanding of what other folks that are doing something similar to you are going through, or even folks in adjacent fields. I'm going to talk a lot here about film and television because that's my experience day to day. But, as a filmmaker, we collaborate with folks from all the creative sectors. So I collaborate with musicians who may be creating scores for film projects or commercials or branded content, but on the side they make their own music and they're trying to get a name for themselves out there as a solo artist or in a band. What's it like to do that? What's it like to be a more traditional kind of classical artist? I have friends who are painters. How do you manage a career as somebody who's trying to create original classical artwork in a field where all of a sudden, it, all of a sudden, artificial intelligence can create something in your same style in seconds? How do we get through these moments of extreme change where so much of what is coming down the pike is so uncertain, or is creating that kind of uncertainty for folks who are just trying to build on, the education that they paid tens of thousands, if not more, for, when there's these tools now that allow the same type of content to be created with just a simple prompt. So we'll talk a little bit about industry news as well, like what some of these tools are, how we can leverage artificial intelligence and other tools to benefit and grow our skills to expand on our skills, to be able to learn more and learn faster and adapt more quickly and more efficiently to what the market is asking for, and how to build our own industry, how to create new opportunities for ourselves, how to enter into brand new markets, things that we couldn't have imagined before. Artificial intelligence can help us to really do that as well, to find new niches that can help us leverage our specific voice to create within. So I'm hoping that this podcast will be a way to explore some of that also. And then, they'll be Ask Me Anything moments where I'll respond to folks who leave questions in the comments, who have specific needs or are looking for specific advice, or who are sharing their experiences that we can all relate to. I'll bring some of that into here as well. And I'll keep these pretty short. My goal is for each episode to be no more than about 15 minutes, so it's easily digestible. You don't have to invest too much time into it every day, and so that's easy enough for me to manage putting out once a day without it being overwhelming, like it would be if it were 30 minutes or an hour. So part of my lifestyle is a lot of travel. I go back and forth between the United States and Europe every 2 to 3 months. So I'm spending a lot of time kind of preparing to be traveling, or traveling for real, where I'm at the airport on my way. So I want to be able to give people a little bit of insight of what that experience is like too, and kind of capture some of these moments on the go. So I'll be bringing that here as well. In terms of the why now for this podcast and the Greenlight ecosystem more largely, like I said, this is a historic moment that I think we're in right now. We're in a unique and undeniable downturn. It's not just in your head. If you're feeling like things have been harder the last couple of years, it is true. It really has. The stats bear that out. Production in Los Angeles, for example, has dropped nearly 60% in the last 4 years. 60%. That's the mecca for filmmaking. And the people there are really, really struggling. A lot of jobs are moving overseas to Europe and Africa and Canada. And it's really challenging to know that there's just this kind of an uncertainty in a field that for a lot of folks was a complete way of life. And when that gets turned upside down, it's hard to know what steps to take next. So I think it's important to be able to at least compare notes and let each other know that we're not alone in the moments where we're struggling a little bit. So marketing is the first to go a lot of times when companies are feeling the pinch. When they start to pinch pennies, ad budgets vanish. And that hurts commercial filmmakers and creatives, because we're the ones who would be taking up that work. And when that starts to go by the wayside, that means we're out of those jobs. And then for the bigger production companies, the studios, the heads of those studios are now incentivized by cost saving instead of profits. So that means they're not necessarily trying to open up opportunities for folks who are maybe a new talent. They're looking to keep their jobs and holding on to them as tightly as they can. And then there's, things like the merger between Warner Brothers and Netflix. Those talks that are happening right now could have a real broad effect on the industry, leading to lots of job losses because of the redundancies that come along with that. And especially for Netflix, which is a company that does not have the same interest as Warner Brothers in terms of trying to get movies in theaters. So Netflix wants you to stay at home. They want you to watch their movies, their TV shows from your sofa. So they don't have any real reason to try to keep movies going into the movie theaters. So we could see a real sea change in what the industry looks like in the next 2, 5, 10 years as a result of this kind of a merger. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means and how people are responding to it. So the big takeaway here, the old gatekeepers are clinging to their jobs, and we just simply cannot wait for them to open doors for us. It's just not a sustainable model anymore. So my hope is that the Greenlight ecosystem can be the solution for a lot of us. This big tent philosophy, right? Which is, it is not just for filmmakers, it's for writers, musicians, and artists. And we need to cross-pollinate in order to survive. We need to lift one another up and help each other build our own markets, build our own industries, be our own executive producers, be our own movie studios, be our own music studios in order to really create a survivable, sustainable lifestyle here. The Greenlight ecosystem consists of 4 pillars that help us do that. Whether it's expanding your skill set, right? It's building your network, lifting one another up, and helping each other find these resources that we'll need. Then it's the financial aspect, understanding how to make your money work for you so that you have the financial freedom to not be in starvation mode. And then it's the communication and distribution portion of it, how to get your voice heard, how to get people into your audience so that you can sell. And I think if you're not managing all 4 of these pillars, especially the financial portion of it and the community portion of it, then you're invisible. There's not really a real sustainable option to maintain a lifestyle as an artist, unless you can really build an engine for yourself that keeps that moving forward. So the next big step is this coming Sunday, I'll be hosting a strategy briefing where we'll talk through the state of the industry, a little bit of a deep dive into talking through what is happening in this industry downturn. This Sunday, January 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join by RSVPing at the events section of my website, chrisanthonyhamilton.com. And hopefully I'll see you there and we can talk more about what it means to be your own executive producer and to greenlight yourself, to greenlight your career and your life. I appreciate you joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Let's get to work.